I don't think Paul needs an introduction with this crowd. Paul Rowan is co-founder, and you have a catchy title.
VP Inspiration.
VP Inspiration at UMBRA. I'm just going to pass it on to Paul, and then we'll be back for Q&A afterwards.
Thank you. Thanks, Beirut. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate the support. But, every day you take risks, to build a business. I thought, I've done at least 1,000 or maybe 10,000 risks in my career. But I tried to narrow it down to 10 sort of major risks to kind of impart to you and see if you could actually take something away from this. I like to take away at least one thing from a lecture. There's so many lectures you go to and you wonder, like, what was that all about? So maybe there'll be one thing that you guys could take away. I know one thing I could take away is this badge, okay? Because this badge is ugly, all right? Now, you guys are designers out there, or you work with designers, and you just accept paradigms like this without even thinking. I say wake up and start being, get connected to objects around you and start feeling that the thing feels horrible around your neck, that it's made from probably inappropriate materials, unless they've changed recently. You look pretty bad walking around in it when you're wearing your, $300 boots and your other outfits that you girls are wearing. So, okay, by the end of this session, we're going to talk about how we could redesign something like this. That's the way we think at UMBRA. It's kind of fun. We're always thinking about how we're going to reinvent products. And my career has been really terrific. I mean, it's been a fantastic journey. What I've done in this lecture is sort of really make it a very personal journey to show you how I worked my way through these risks to build the business. And hopefully I'm going to live up to this title of VP Inspiration. Really my job now is to work with our team. And we have about 100 people up in Scarborough in our headquarters. And then we have satellite offices around the world in Amsterdam and in Shenzhen, China. And now we've opened an office in Sao Paulo. So my job now is to talk to people, especially new associates, talk to them about our culture and kind of inspire them to sort of carry the ball right now. It's a really interesting part of my career. And I'm still, of course, doing research for the design team and feeding them ideas. So it's a lot of fun. But the start of it happened with the invention that I did for a window treatment. I'd moved into an apartment in Ottawa, and the windows were bare. I started looking in the market for window treatments that were casual and affordable. There weren't really any except for some bamboo ones that had come from China. And I didn't think it was really appropriate, so I invented one myself. I went out and found some interesting UV-resistant paper that was translucent. I put graphics on it, and I put them on roller blinds, and I put them in my apartment. Well, people started seeing them, and really liked them. And I took the idea to my childhood friend, Les Manobom, which is the first risk, is how to pick a partner. I mean, I'd been working on so many weekends in Ottawa talking to my friends from the company I'd worked for, the kind of thing where you're going to start a new startup business and you go for beers and you talk about it. Nothing happened. We just talked about ideas a lot for many years and nothing happened. And I saw Les actually had started a small business called TransCanada Hardware. And he had the infrastructure in place to do a business. So I took this idea to him and we launched it. The interesting thing about our background is that we actually are musicians, and So people have talked to me about, like, what's the connection between a company, a design company, and music? I mean, you might think, okay, they're both creative things, but I've been thinking about it a while now, and you know, when you're creative, and there's a lot of people in the room here that have felt like I have, like you're going through high school, you're going to art class, you're going to classes, postgraduate or whatever. It's a very lonely creative existence. I mean, you have to do your projects on your own. You don't collaborate that much. The left brain people, as you're going through high school, are out on the football field learning how to work as a team. The guys that are in management today started off playing football or quarterbacking a team and learning how to manage a team or work in a team. The people that run businesses come from that kind of background, and they have that advantage of being able to play in teams and have team sports and so forth, where the creative individual is alone, you know, sketching, agonizing over this drawing, and without very little help, except for maybe a teacher consulting every now and then. So, you know, what we actually learned when we were kids, when we decided to, you know, emulate the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and everything else in our garage bands, was to actually create this music, be creative, but actually be able to work in a team. It's a very difficult thing, actually. You know why so many bands are so crazy around the world and why they break up and all of them sometimes end up in ruin. It's a very difficult thing to put creative people together and collaborate effectively. And when you do it, it's a marvelous thing, okay? It's just the outcome is fantastic. A band is a great example of it. I think the highest level of creative cooperation in terms of analogy for a creative business is a jazz band, jazz quartet, where it's completely improvisational. I mean, that's the kind of analogy we should be looking for when we create our businesses, that all our individuals, creative spirits, are working individually. We trust them. They're all coming together as a unit and creating unbelievable ideas spontaneously and, you know, improvisationally. And that's how successful businesses will win today, because if you're stuck on some sort of paradigm, you know, like those card carriers, you know, your business will be dead, right? So this is how we started, Les and I, and we're still very good friends. The other risk that we took when we first started off was celebrating the designer. If you look at most companies today, first of all, even the ones that do stand for design, I really challenge a lot of you in the room to even name 10 that you really think is design focused in the world, okay? So we have, as designers, we have a long way to go in terms of being able to build design focused companies, because the public doesn't really know that many. Of course, they know Apple now, which is a marvelous thing, because we can actually have now proven that design can create a lot of wealth. I mean, in 20 years ago, that was not the case. Most people thought that modern design really didn't fit the mainstream, that there wasn't a lot of possibility of creating wealth from design. Very limited in the public's eye. So we decided to focus on design. Why did we do that? Well, of course, we did it because it was just born out of necessity in the beginning. But to celebrate the designer, in our business where we were talking about objects for the home and houseware items and gift items, it's a very generic, it's very highly copied business. So we thought the one thing that we could do by putting the designer name on the product was to actually make it into a unique, so the public would know that it was actually a unique, original product produced by a real designer. So that was one thing that we did. The other thing the reason we did that was because we wanted to incent our design team and have them stay in our firm instead of just flitting around like a lot of you have experienced in your firms, where designers can just move around for the most money possible. So we linked them to the company by putting their name on it. We made them responsible for the product. In other words, they had a much more commitment to the product by putting their name on it. And then we linked them to the gross profit of the product through a direct incentive program with them. So it's almost like our in-house designers get a royalty every time they do a great product. So it was a great formula for doing that. We built a great team at an in-house, but then we made a launch into a celebrity designer. His name's Karim Rashid. that was kind of a turning point for us because we've been pitched by Kara many, many times. I think a lot of you know who he is. He had started to develop this very interesting curvaceous style, which was really not going anywhere for him. It was like he had a few tabletop accessories. It was very decorative. But for us to actually build his design talent into our product selection was a real breakthrough and a risk. I mean, there's a lot of risk. In fact, well, I call Karam the Romulan designer because he has that kind of Romulan haircut. But also these tattoos on his arms are his own designs, which his wife actually did as well. But unfortunately, they got divorced. So like, I don't know exactly what she's doing with her tattoos right now. But be careful with kind of tattoos that you actually put on, by the way. So Karam's been a great collaborator. He's, you know, we will talk a little bit about a product that he designed for us that's been really successful. You know, the other real driver behind this whole thing was how to do a product every day. Like the risk was like a lot of companies maybe do one a year or maybe two a year, like especially in this business where, you know, the contract business, they're doing very specific, maybe very, you know, monetarily intensive products. So we actually do a product every day. And the way we do that is through a very collaborative process. We have a design studio in Scarborough where we meet every week religiously, same time. It's not a meeting that can be canceled or avoided. We bring concepts to the table and we share them with our team of the executive team, the operations team, of course the design team, marketing, sales, and production. So everybody has a very early look at even the most, you know, obscure concepts, sketches, ideas. We sit there together and everybody has a chance to sort of buy into the idea. We really find that even though you might have a great idea and as an individual, unless you're able to actually convince your team to really believe in it, being passionate about it as you are, it'll never go through. Everybody has their own agenda in their company. Hi, Katja, how are you? We're living in the same building now. Anyways, so everybody has their own agenda, right? So you really have to gather the troops. Everybody has to believe in it. And we feel that by giving them as early an opportunity to take a look at these concepts, the better. So we have early adoption of the idea. And lately, we've been able to videotape the meetings and send them out to our satellites around the world. So everybody connected with our organization gets an early look at every concept that we do. One of the high risks about doing these products every day and innovative products is the fact that innovation is really hard to spot. It may be easy to say in retrospect when you look at all those beautiful products that are in the hall behind us and some of UMBRA's products that they're really brilliant. I wish I would have thought of that and all that kind of stuff in retrospect. But when you're really doing innovative product, I would say that almost no one knows the potential of it when they see it in the room. Maybe the designer has a good feeling about it, but until we actually go into production and really deploy that product worldwide, we really don't know the level of success. For example, this one, okay, everybody knows this product now because we sold almost 8 million of them now worldwide. When we first showed the prototype for this one, we were in one of those meetings, those stand-up meetings, and we had some guests in from out of town. One of them was a very, very good manufacturer's rep from San Francisco, so she has a lot of style, very, very well informed. And she actually said to me when we saw the prototype that it looked like a body cast. Okay, so I was stunned because it did actually look like a body cast in some ways. And I said to her, well, you know, we're just about to invest more than $100,000 in this tooling to get this thing started. Do you really think it's ugly? And she said, yeah, it's really ugly. It looks like a body cast. Luckily, we didn't listen to her. No, but the point about this was that really, you know, the norm in that time, the paradigms for trash cans were either cylinders or squares. No one had tried to do a very curvaceous shape like that for something as an object that most people thought you just had to hide away. That was one of the successes of UMBRA, that we were able to identify these objects around the home that people thought, well, you know, it's not really something that we really care to think about in terms of design, or we're hiding it away. Of course, we know that's all changed. You know, the idea of, you know, living with a really ugly object right now in your home, everybody addresses now, I think, and they're always thinking about different ways of improving it. And it's, we've really changed the industry in terms, particularly in North America, in terms of object design and objects for, you know, daily use. So that's a risk, a high-risk story that I'd like to talk about there. Of course, opening a factory in China. This is a very important topic, and a lot of people ask me about this. I mean, you know, it's always in the news today how our manufacturing jobs are shrinking. It's a selling point for a lot of people here who are manufacturing in North America, for you to encourage you to buy from them, and it's a good marketing tool to do that. In our particular case, for us to be competitive, we had to consider manufacturing outside of Canada. These type of objects that we do, although the Garbino can is actually produced in either Southern Ontario or Western New York, it's a domestic made product. We just have tools around the world where we manufacture domestically. So that can be deployed worldwide, regionally, and actually have manufacturing jobs related to North America with that one, which is good. We always like to do domestic manufacturing wherever possible because we have much more control. We don't have to wait for the product 90 days to get here. You know, we have better quality control. Overall, everybody's objective is to manufacture domestically, but in our particular case, with many of our items, we have to be much more competitively priced by manufacturing in China. So we had to look at that. So about 10 years ago, we opened a factory in China. And you know, the outcome was that you know, our business doubled. The jobs that we lost in our manufacturing unit, which was in Scarborough here, about 50 jobs, that was really unfortunate that those people were laid off. Some of them were retrained. But we actually replaced those 50 jobs with better jobs in our design office, in our marketing team, in our logistics. So in my opinion, in our particular model, we can actually outsource manufacturing anywhere in the world. Our idea is that we mastermind these ideas in Canada, and we create better jobs for Canadians. Like I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and I don't think there's one parent in the room that would actually say, "Oh, I want my kid to grow up to work in a manufacturing job today." Why do we have technical schools? Why do we have higher education to work in manufacturing? Of course, manufacturing is being redefined every day. So it's not like, you know, working on an assembly line is, in a low-paying job is desirable. It's not even anything that's actually very relevant today. If you go in modern factories where some of the vendors here are manufacturing, it's highly robotic. It has to be to improve the quality, to improve the productivity. So the future of manufacturing is going to, you know, highly mechanized systems anyways. So the labor involved in manufacturing is actually going to continuously be reduced. So what are we going to do about creating jobs in manufacturing? I don't really know. Right now we've transplanted that idea to China. But our model for masterminding the ideas in Canada is really working for us. So this factory is ISO 14001 certified. It's very clean. It's very bright. We're really proud of being it's Western owned and managed by UMBRA, and there's about 500 workers there. It's a very successful operation. It's profitable, and we feel that the workers are well respected there and safe. So we have equipment to do various kinds of roll forming. This is a drapery rod factory, in fact. The thing is about working in China for a long time, you sort of get this dark sense of humor after being there for many years. And you know, our team over there, we travel a lot together. We take a lot of time to sort of have some fun with China, which is like by photographing a lot of the we call it Chinglish over there, which is kind of funny. Like this one, I'm going to ask you what this actually is. I like your smile, but unlike you put your shoes on my face, which is actually, does anyone know what that means? No? Don't walk on the grass. So we look for stuff like that. But the other thing that's kind of funny is that we've created this gallery of photos. I mean, the people over there, in terms of their work ethic, is unbelievably strong. They work virtually 20 hours a day, so they have to. Well, here's another slide. I like this one. I couldn't really figure this one out at first. It says for week only, which is kind of like a handicapped kind of washroom, right? So you do take time to have a bit of fun with these things. But speaking about this work ethic over there, we've created this gallery of people that are totally exhausted. Like, they will find a place to take a cat nap in almost any place you go. And there's a variety of photos you could take about this. So we've created a gallery of people sleeping. These people are really relaxing at a trade show. Here's actually, it's not just Asians, by the way, it's Westerners actually figured out how to take a cat nap everywhere. And I like this one because I call this a double. So this is kind of rare when you see something like this. You have to go and take a picture of it. But seriously speaking, this is sort of my Ed Bertinsky moment. You know, I actually shot this. I was at a factory and I looked over at the neighbor and I saw this smokestack spewing out this black smoke and I thought, oh my God, this is like horrible. Like, what are we doing here? Are we really, you know, is it right that we're manufacturing in China and they're abusing their environment like this? And, you know, my feeling is that we've really transplanted all our manufacturing problems in North America to the Chinese. I really think that it's a mistake to just point fingers at China and say you are not responsible in terms of your environment, because I think we had many, many of these problems ourselves before the manufacturing left North America. I think it's our job really to, when we go to these factories, that we have certain environmental standards that we have to impose on them, and we do that. And that's what a lot of retailers over here and vendors are doing to improve the conditions, the working conditions for the workers there, and the environment. So even someone like Walmart, who's quite a dirty word around the business, actually has very, very high standards in terms of the compliance manuals that vendors have to adhere to. So some of you may not be aware of that because Walmart doesn't really want to publish that because they will be a target for the press. The media will come after them with any mistake they make, of course. But they are trying quite hard to make sure their compliance manuals are adhered to. And so do we. The other risk was in the last 6 years, we started working with colleges, design colleges around the world. And the interesting thing was that, you know, I think some of you might have considered working with colleges as a giving back to the community and to mentor students and so forth. We thought the same thing. It was, I think we started with our 20th anniversary to launch a program at the Pratt School in Brooklyn, the Pratt Design School in Brooklyn, which is a really well-known design school. So, but what happened was that we realized that there was an unbelievable amount of talent that was unmined at the school level. That it was not only fantastic to be working with them, to engage the students, to have an opportunity to take a look at their work, to recruit. I mean, we were recruiting from these schools. Recruitment's very, very important for our studio. All our designers have been built from the ground up. Our current design director started 15 years ago as an intern. We have that kind of support from our team there. One of the first guys that we hired from OCAD, Henry Wong, is still in China, working there as a design developer manager. Actually, one of the guys we took over, part of the deal of having our interns going to China was to have a sort of rotation idea. So like, we'd send them over there for a couple of years and they come back and share their manufacturing learnings and so forth after living there. So we sent one guy over there, his name's Aiden, and he was a very talented guy. I met him in a show in New York, and his dad was Taiwanese and his mother was Swedish. Kind of interesting hybrids going on these days with people being able to go live and work in China and be able to speak Mandarin. So he went over there for 2 years, and I called him. I said, well, it's time to come back. He said, well, I'm not coming back. I don't care if you fire me. The people that go over there, the young people that go over there, particularly Mandarin-speaking ones, really love working in China. They love it. It's very, very exciting for them. And so I said, okay, you can stay, because he was such a good worker over there. He was fantastic, and he stayed for a long time. Anyways, the student work. So we started to work with the students, Pratt particularly, and we started to build this portfolio of student work, not just through competitions, but by going to their grad shows for recruitment reasons and also to look for product ideas. And we've done an amazing job of doing that. We've got this portfolio of student and grad work and competition work, which has been unbelievably successful. This is just something new that hasn't been produced yet from the Art Center. I don't know if some of you know the Art Center in Pasadena. It's one of the best design schools in the world. Like probably almost every one of you who drive a car of any decent design, their design director probably graduated from the Art Center. I mean, we're talking a very high level school. And so we've started a course there in collaboration with the faculty and the students called Open Innovation. And so they actually go through their course to design a product to be commercialized by UMBRA. In other words, if it doesn't get commercialized by UMBRA, they don't get an A. It's not a theoretical course. It's about actually getting involved with us, and we collaborate very closely with them. We Skype with them. We have a private blog where they share their design development, and we actually are aiming to produce the work that this Open Innovation course produces. So this is one piece, which is a cord management thing. Everybody knows how horrible their cords look on their desk when they get back to the desk. You know why. This is probably a necessary item. Then there's Marion Langtree. I was walking the grad show at OCAD, and Marion had a display of these bent resin flowers in a composition on the wall as a part of her thesis for wall decor. And we looked at it and thought, yeah, this is a really cool idea. Like, come up to our office and we'll talk about creating a royalty agreement with you. And it's an unbelievably, this is one of those items where it's really, innovation is hard to spot, but you have to be that kind of open-mindedness, have that open-mindedness to be able to go into the schools and actually adopt some of these ideas. But this has turned into like a $15 million business over the last couple of years. And Marion's gone on to do her master's at the NYU, which is not cheap. If you go there, it's probably $50,000 a year for that, all on UMBRA royalties. So unbelievable opportunity for a creative work to be commercialized using UMBRA's design model. And this one was been very, very successful worldwide. This was designed by Miran Lior, who is a Pratt student a few years ago. And Pratt has a loft classroom with posts, the natural wood posts. And I walked into the room, like I usually do a lecture to kick off the competition, and I go back to see the first round of products, and I go back for judging. When I saw the second round of work and I saw the books floating on this post in the school, I almost fell over, because I thought, what is that? How did he do it? And he actually did everything that we thought would be a perfect product. I mean, we never knew how successful this would be, but we knew that it had the legs to really go long way with it. Basically, just a steel bracket, very simple, with a patented little clip that holds the book cover to conceal the bracket. And you can create these book displays quite magically on any wall. And like almost every young woman that I know owns one of these brackets. So whether they install them or not, they just love the look of it. So this was highly successful. Over the last 6 years, these products Here's another one. These products have generated $60 million in retail and generated $1 million in royalties. We also have in the student competition programs, which is quite interesting, we not only pay the student a royalty, we give a percentage to the school for allowing us to create the course. And so it's a very sustainable idea, and schools around the world are approaching us every day to do this kind of thing because they realize that not only are we giving the seed capital for young people to launch their careers through a royalty program like this, but it's also quite sustainable for the school. In the last 6 years, we've given $130,000 to Pratt, for example, and every quarter I get a little thank you card from them. They don't even know why. It just goes, the administrators just see checks coming in and, they send a thank you. But the faculty is the key to launching these kind of things. I really think that this kind of program is really instrumental to relaunching the spirit of entrepreneurship in North America, that we reach out to the schools, that we commercialize the young talents, of the young people's talents there. We provide seed capital for them to launch their new businesses. And now we make design education sustainable through the royalties. Does anyone disagree with me on that? So it's a win-win-win situation. And I get to build the pool that I haven't been able to build at my farmhouse. So this one, I love this one too. This is Teddy Long. He decided, he was living in a condo, he decided his fish should actually get to live in a condo too. So he actually designed a fish bowl that looks like a condo. It's been very, very successful. And the thing about this thing too is that when you start working with young people and their new ideas that really come from nowhere, there's no real, we can't really plan this kind of thing. We can only put ourselves in this sort of environment where we can have an incubator for new ideas, right? We don't really know what the next idea is going to be. But when you're working with young people like this, it's highly influential on your business. Like, we saw this idea as something that we could extend out into our marketing program at trade shows. So we actually built these 1,000-square-foot stands around the world based on Teddy's design of his fish hotel. So I'm really impressed by the young people and how they can actually influence us. Of course, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your personal commitments and the support that you need to create successful businesses by having this sort of passion for it. You can't possibly do anything successfully without great support. You have to structure your lives with people around you that are going to support you in this endeavor. Because for at least 20 years, I traveled at least 3 months a year, going to China, doing manufacturing. I couldn't have done it without the support of these lovely people, my wife and daughter. I have a son too, so he's probably going to be pissed because I didn't put him in this picture. But I really thank, when I talk to people in the organization, I really thank everybody's family a lot for allowing their family members to actually work with us and to be committed at a high level. Because I don't think this is just 9 to 5 how we do this stuff. It's really a 24-hour commitment to, seeing your ideas realized. It's not a 9 to 5 job, and you can't do it without support at home. Of course, some of you may be interested in how we, deployed this idea through these physical structures. I mean, we always had like horrible facilities until we had enough money to actually build one. So we had, these warehouses in Scarborough, and then we bought a place next door very similar to this, and we actually had Cohn Schneer, the architects, and Figure 3, the interior designers, collaborate on our facility in 2000. It's been a great home for us. It still seems fresh to me walking in after 12 years. It's just a fun place. They originally came to us with a glass facade, which architects would naturally move towards materials that they were comfortable with in terms of safety and manufacturing. We asked them to do something completely different because we were known for our plastics. We actually did a polycarbonate tile that was thermoformed and then CNC'd to create these eyeglasses, we call them, for eye shades for the exterior of the building. And then Figure Theory did these sort of marvelous interiors. And Cohn Schneer came up with this idea to actually embody our philosophy of design as being the center of our business by creating the studio in the middle of the business with the lantern above it. So there's no direct light from the sun coming in on anybody. It's got actually a third-story glass box on the top, which illuminates the studio. So you can see how nice it looks there. I really think it's one of the nicest studios around. So, I mean, we did it to really attract great people, to have a great home for them. And then our latest project was about 6 years ago. We saw this building. That's less than I standing, and it was horrible. I mean, I love the creativity in particularly in Toronto, where you can actually look at something that's absolutely disgusting and turn it into something like this. Okay, like this, there was actually some kind of pornography studio in the basement over there. There was lots of evidence of it. But like this building was really disgusting. And then you turn it over to these, like it's just a small group of people. I love working on these projects with a small group of people, making something magical like that. And of course, this one project of the year, when it was produced, it was, we used the chandeliers we actually created out of our own lamp designs. And we pushed, I mean, we're actually ideal clients for architects and interior designers because we'll accept any of their crazy ideas. And then here's how it looks opening night with the LEDs. And instead of going with the polycarbonate tiles, we went with a polycarbonate extrusion on the retail building. So that was a lot of fun. So just about talking about how we've been able to get the idea globally, you know, it's been fun to mastermind those ideas right here in Toronto. We have a design team that create the what we call like a shop and shop. We have these kits that can go out around the world where we can build out these fixtures. So this is a shop and shop in a department store in Guangzhou, China. So we have nice, pretty nice distribution now in China. We see that as an emerging market. Of course, everybody's talking about that, and it's true. They really like brands there. They're very respectful of brands. Whereas, you know, in North America, I think people somewhat shop by price first, and then they sort of look at the brand. In China, they're very focused on brand for trust, you know, to really trust the quality of the product and so forth. That's how they really are sold by, you know, your brand equity. So this is one of the shops, and then we have, this is one actually in Mumbai, India. So the Indians are quite interested in gift giving. This culture of gift giving is really working in Asia and around the world. People like to give gifts as part of their like business to business when they first meet people in relation to having a relationship in business. They like to give an umber gift, for example. So this is kind of an emerging thing that we're capitalizing on, and we've been able to figure out how to actually manufacture at quite a low cost and deploy. This is very important that we have our presence in Europe. So this is Galeries Lafayette in Paris. So when any buyer around the world goes to Paris to do trend shopping, they'll see our products in some of the department stores. This is Printemps, also in Paris. This is Selfridges in London, which is actually owned by the Westons, Canadians. Oh, finally, the last risk is about harmonica. So I mentioned that I was a musician, and I like to do something very unusual in terms of a lecture. So I usually finish it off with a little harmonica solo inspired by little Walter, who really taught me how to play harmonica. He was a real badass, but like had a very short life, but also was one of the best harmonica players ever. So I'm going to give you a little of little Walter solo. Okay, here we go. This has never been done in this building before, okay? Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Clap. Thank you. Okay. You never expected to finish it with a harmonica solo, right?